Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to move that the Income Tax Bill, Amendment Bill 2025, be now read the second time. Mr. Speaker, the object of the bill is to amend the Income Tax Act 2025, Act 896, to remove withholding on winnings from lottery and on purchase of unprocessed gold. Mr. Speaker, government, as part of the reforms of the tax system, is instituting measures that would improve disposable income of persons by reducing the tax burden. Right Honourable Speaker, the removal of withholdings on winnings from lottery will result in additional income to individuals who benefit from winning from lottery. Also, the removal of withholding on purchase of unprocessed gold is expected to free up the market and encourage small-scale miners to sell their gold to the government so that the government can help to curtail smuggling. So, Speaker, it is also important that for the record, I state for the record that, Mr. Speaker, lotteries in the Income Tax Amendment Bill has been defined as follows. Mr. Speaker, if you are to look at the Income Tax Amendment Bill, lotteries means a scheme where rights are sold to take part in a draw by lot for prize, including betting, gaming, and any game of chance. Right Honourable Speaker, it is important that I make this point. Speaker, I make this point to clarify that lottery in the instance of the Income Tax Amendment Bill includes betting, gaming, and any game of chance. So lottery does not only relate to lotteries, it relates to gaming and betting. The Speaker, this amendment is far more than what the NDC party promised in our manifesto. The Speaker, in our manifesto, we promised to remove betting tax, which is a subcomponent of the lottery tax, withholding tax on the lottery. The Speaker, what we have done is that we have not only exempted or removed the tax on betting, but we have also removed the tax on gaming and also on lotteries, the everyday lotto. So, Mr. Speaker, it's 3 in 1 and should not be construed that this tax is only removing taxes on betting. We've gone more than betting so that members can understand. Mr. Speaker, aside, and most importantly, it is also important for us to understand that this Income Tax Amendment Bill is also removing the 1.5% withholding tax on processed gold from small-scale mining. Speaker, this is particularly important because over the years, Ghana has been witnessing large-scale smuggling of gold. So, Speaker, the smuggling of gold is not certainly coming from the large-scale mining firms. It is coming from the small-scale mining. So, Speaker, some of the reasons that account for the smuggling of gold include the withholding tax. What we are saying is that, just like we've done in the past for cocoa, we can use this tax measure to remove the export tax, withholding tax on export of gold, and for government to target the forex flow. And we believe that this removal will allow the Ghana Gold Board, when incorporated, when Parliament approved, to be able to attract the gold, purchase the gold, sell the gold, and bring the forex to support the economic development of Ghana. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
All members' motion accordingly moved. I will therefore call on the chairman of the Finance Committee to present the committee's report.
Mr. Speaker, I present aspects of the committee's report and request that the whole report should be captured as though same was read to the House. Mr. Speaker, the rationale for the bill, the committee observed that in 2023, Section 6 of the Income Tax Act, as amended, imposed withholding tax on winnings from lottery. The committee noted that the withholding tax adversely affected the disposable income of citizenry, especially those who realize income from lottery and betting. In order to improve the disposable income by reducing the tax burden, government has introduced the bill to repeal the tax on winnings from lottery. Mr. Speaker, in addition, the bill intends to remove the 1.5% withholding tax on processed gold. Mr. Speaker, the aspect on the gold is meant to ensure that we reduce smuggling of gold and also to facilitate the establishment of an impending Ghana Gold Board. Mr. Speaker, it is anticipated that the government will lose about 268.75 million in revenue from the letting winnings and 145 million from unprocessed gold with the removal of these taxes. After deliberations with relevant stakeholders, the committee is of the view that the amendment is in the right direction and therefore should be supported. Mr. Speaker, the committee unanimously recommends to the House to adopt this report and approve the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2025. Mr. Speaker, I so submit.
Honorable members, motion move for the second reading committee report presented. I will now proceed to open the floor for full debate under Standing Order 167. Honorable members, the floor is now open. Yes, Honorable Ranking Member.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy that the Minister has provided enough explanation on this, because there have been some somersaulting one after another since the budget was presented. In the budget, the Minister said government was abolishing with a withholding tax on the lottery win. Then when he came to present, to lay the bill, he said government was abolishing the tax on bet wins. Today, he's telling us that it is not just bet wins, but also the other games of chance, including Lotto. And that clarification, I think, is very useful. Because in laying the bill, if you said you were going to abolish the withholding tax on bet winnings, which is just one of the winnings from lottery, then that, in my view, is different from what the Minister was talking about today. And so, because we know that bet winnings is just one of the winnings from lottery, but I remember very well in presenting the bill, in laying the bill, he said bet wins, which is what the NDC promised in their manifesto. Today we have heard from the Minister that it is not only bet wins, but wins from other lotteries, games of chance, and I think that clarification is important. The report also indicated that, Mr. Speaker, the tax on lotto winning was not collected, and is going to engage with the National Lotteries Authority to discuss modalities and put in mechanisms to collect this levy. That's also significant, but I will want him to go beyond this to tell us what modalities, because it's been a long-standing issue. And I was hoping that the Minister will provide some details on the modalities for implementing the wins from the tax from wins from Lotto. And to that extent, Minister, if you cannot do it now, we can discuss it later, how to ensure that that is also collected. But since you are abolishing it, then I'm wondering why that statement in the report. I may want to read, Mr. Speaker, the part of the report talking about this. Paragraph 7.6. First of all, 7.5. The committee was informed that though the law was in force, it was not applied to the winnings from Lotto, giving rise to outstanding tax obligations in existence. 7.6. The minister agreed with the committee and stated that there was the need for further consultations on the matter. He indicated that he will hold discussions with the National Lottery Authority on the way forward, and the appropriate decision will be made. This is in the report. And so if you are abolishing it, I'm wondering what kind of engagement or discussions you need to have with the National Lotteries Authority on the way forward as far as the withholding tax on winnings from Lotto is concerned. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, in the report says that the committee was informed that though the law was in force, it was not applied to the winnings from Lotto, giving rise to outstanding tax obligations in existence. Outstanding tax obligations in existence. So that is to say that presumably there should be tax obligations that are outstanding, some money that we have paid and etc., which still has to be paid because it has accrued. And so the discussion about engaging National Lottery Authority to see the way forward is in relation to the outstanding tax obligations. So I think that is the context in which the report should be read. Mr. Speaker, once again, we continue today a very blessed day in the month of Ramadan, the last 10 days. There are many people who prayed last night that going forward, God should bless their pockets. God should save their revenues. So, Speaker, today we are passing legislation that is increasing the disposable income of families and individuals. The fiscal impact, the amount of money that the state was going to withhold from these people, the state is allowing them to go away with their money, increasing their disposable income. So, Speaker, we are losing $10 billion to the smuggling of gold. Sometimes you sit here and our institutions capture that we have exported $100 million worth of gold. You go to the receiving countries and they say that they have received $1 billion worth of gold from your country. Clearly there is a discrepancy. How did they receive $1 billion worth of gold when your record here is that you exported $100 million worth of gold? It meant that the $900 million worth of gold must have been smuggled. So, Speaker, this is what we are seeking to address by taking away the withholding tax so that Ghanaians can freely transact in their gold and record it and return the money into the system so we can stabilize our currency and fully benefit from our natural resource. And Mr. Speaker, for those who were exporting it, going through the normal channels, they had to pay this tax. So, Speaker, we are leaving more money in the pockets of those people. The state is no longer going to tax small-scale gold miners because we are abolishing the tax and the withholding tax, and they will now have the money in their pockets. This is a government that is giving more money to ordinary people, small-scale miners. We gave money today to Okada riders by abolishing the emission tax levy. All of us who have been paying money in respect of e-levy, today we are taking that away by approving the legislation. So, Speaker, now we are also making such facilities available to small-scale miners by abolishing the withholding tax. So, Speaker, we continue to implement our promises to ordinary Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, with those few words, and I believe colleagues support the second reading of the income tax amendment bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to add my voice to the debate on this bill. Mr. Speaker, it is early days. It is early days. Now we hear our friends praising themselves, claiming that they are fulfilling their campaign promises. They are selective fulfillment of promises. But I need to remind them that what they are attempting to do is not new to this House. In 2017, when the Akufo-Addo government presented its first budget, there were a lot of taxes that were repealed. And for the records, as many as 15 taxes and levies that were in place and had been in place through an enactment by the previous Mahama administration had to be repealed. So if today they are here with some fewer amendment to our tax laws, well, we would want to encourage them to do more. We are aware that in their time, Kayaye was even taxed. We are aware. We are aware. Agro inputs, including the tools that the farmers use, cutlasses being used by the farmers in Boko were taxed. Hoes were taxed. Import duties on spare parts were very burdensome. Mr. Speaker, if today they claim they are abolishing some taxes, well, to the extent that it's going to benefit the ordinary Ghanaian, we support it. But what they have forgotten is that this tax itself, this repeal, has been rendered, the law that allows for this 1.5% tax to be imposed on those in that industry is just about being rendered odious with the coming into force of this gold board law. Yes. Mr. Speaker, they should not do that. They are mischief. We know them. You are bringing this gold board, and you know that because you are introducing this gold board, which gold board is going to be
Yes,
a buyer and a
Leader.
regulator.
I recognize the chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, is it the case that he is supposed to come in? I just want to know.
Honourable member, he is the chairman of the committee. He presented the committee's
Mr.
report.
Speaker, with respect, I just needed clarity from you.
Yes.
Okay, so he's up on a point of order.
Yes.
Is that the case?
Yes, that's
Very
why
well.
I recognize it.
Very well.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to correct an anomaly that my leader is stating here. The gold board does not impose taxes. This is about a bill that was imposing taxes that we are removing. The gold board bill is to set up the gold board, but not to impose or remove taxes. I just wanted to make that clarification. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honourable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I repeat the point that with the coming into force of this gold board law, this very law that is being repealed will be rendered odious. So nothing is being done in real terms. Practically, this government is not doing anything. Mr. Speaker, we want to see proper exemptions being granted to the industry players. And we want to see that in the gold board law, which is coming. That is what we want to see. But we also are aware that there is this special import levy extension from 2025 to 2028. Yes, we know. So you see this attitude of attempting to give one, take more, give one, take more. Just like the way they do their business. You see, this and the other attitude, we can read in between the lines. I want the finance minister to rise on a point of order against this submission that they are going to extend the special import levy from 2025 to 2028. I want him to deny it for records that he is not going to do that. Because it's very important for importers. I want him to commit that there will be no extension.
Honourable Minority Leader, you know the rules. In your comment, you cannot invite any member of parliament to comment on your submission.
Mr. Speaker, it is a rhetorical political statement.
That is not your responsibility.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not inviting, I'm saying that, Mr. Speaker, it is a rhetorical political statement.
Well, I invite the finance minister to comment on what I am saying. I don't know how rhetorical this question will be.
Mr. Speaker, you want to get into the debate.
Well, that is what I am resisting. That's why I'm saying that make your submission without necessarily inviting anybody to comment whilst you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I will be pleased to hear him respond to me on this. I don't mind at all, and I'll willingly yield to him. Because
Honourable member, that is why I am saying that you don't have that responsibility of inviting anybody to take to get on his feet and comment on the statement that you are making. go ahead with your submission.
Very well.
Having in mind Standing Order 167.
Mr. Speaker,
In relation
I've always had
the second debate on the second reading of the bill, where we debate the principles and comment on the report.
The debate at this stage is at large. That is where you discuss all matters. And I'm saying that this is really nothing in real terms. That is my submission. And I further submit that this government is not really a government that cares about the ordinary Ghanaian, because importers who are expecting an end to this special import levy will be disappointed, because the government is going to extend that levy from 2025 to 2028. That is my submission. So it's just a matter of giving one and then still taking more. Because I heard the submissions of the majority leader. He says now the disposable incomes of the ordinary Ghanaian in the business environment is going to be high and all. And I'm saying that in reality there's nothing like that. This government is not proposing anything new by way of relief to the private sector. The private sector can only thrive if government is really giving them a breather. We hear they are even cancelling the 1D1F policy, which would allow tax exemption to achieve real growth. To achieve real growth. They are not committing to that. We have businessmen, we have entrepreneurs who need such exemption so that the cost of production can go down, so that they can employ more, so that they can sell cheaper for the ordinary Ghanaian to benefit. And you are cancelling this initiative. Then you come back and say that there's a 1.5% taxes you are taking and we should applaud you. Go to the private sector. Interact with members of the Association of Ghana Industries. Interact with members of the Chamber of Commerce. Interact with the ordinary Ghanaian businessman. What kind of consultations did you do? They are the ones who are suffering. And they are the ones that if indeed you need to provide support to the private sector, you should attend to them. You are not doing that. Have you interacted with the Kantamanto businessmen? Have you interacted with the importers? And then you come here and you say, the government is living up to its promises, in disposable income is going to go high and all and all and all. Mr. Speaker, without more, I shall rest my case and look forward to a proper tax legislations that would benefit the private sector. I am for the private sector, and I don't think that this government is for the private sector. I so submit.
Honourable members, before ceding the floor to the Finance Minister to conclude, let's advent our minds to Article 1066, which reads, the report of the committee, together with the explanatory memorandum to the bill, shall form the basis for a full debate on the bill for its passage, with or without amendment, or its rejection by Parliament. Honourable members, Standing Order 167, premise on Article 1066 that I have just read, states that when a motion is moved that a bill be read a second time, a full debate shall ensue on the basis of the explanatory memorandum and the reports from the relevant committee. So it is the explanatory memorandum and the report from the committee which should be considered at the second reading of a bill. Honourable members, I do not think at second reading the debate should be at large. Honorable Finance Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to put some comment in proper perspective. Right, Honorable Speaker, the emergence of the Ghana Gold Board will not mean that the tax, the withholding, 1.5% withholding tax on processed gold from small-scale miners will be rendered odious. Mr. Speaker, I vehemently disagree. Mr. Speaker, rather, if we fail to amend this particular Income Tax Act, the Ghana Gold Board will now become a withholding agent, taxed with the responsibility to withhold 1.5% of all unprocessed gold. Mr. Speaker, I'm talking of tax law. Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to understand that small-scale gold miner, if you do not remove this particular tax, that small-scale gold miner will, Mr. Speaker, at the minimum, will have to pay 1.5% amount of the gold that they will be selling to the Ghana Gold Board. Gross, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what I'm trying to say is that this gold, as we have established.
Honorable Minister, I recognize the ranking member.
Mr. Speaker, I'm coming on point of order. Mr. Speaker, we are not talking about the appropriateness of abolishing the 1.5 or not. What we are saying is this. They laid a bill in this House to seek to establish gold board when the bill is passed. In this bill, there are two proposals. One,